Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Knafs Lander 2. Okay guys, this is the Lander 2 electric boogaloo. This one is basically the same thing as the original Lander. Very similar in looks. The only real differences are it's scaled up, so it's bigger. It's kind of like its version of the Big Banter. It is going to fit the hand a little bit better. If you messed around with the regular Lander, the Lander 1, or the original Lander, not sure which one they're calling it now, this is going to be bigger. It's going to fit your hand better. If you got a bigger hand, a wider palm, this handle is going to be much better for that. And then it gets a new lock, which we'll get into in a second. So you guys know the drill. We'll get into the blade first. So you can upgrade into S35VN from D2. So that's pretty awesome. It's going to be really corrosion resistant. Going to hold a really good edge. It's going to be pretty tough. And then the handle, you're going to get G10 fast swap scales. So these are open source. They're available to make your own. People will be making them, selling them. Etsy's a good place to find them, stuff like that. And then the quick swap? Why can't I say it? So you only have to take off the pivot and then the pocket clip and body screw. So it's got a bushing pivot, so both pieces of pivot hardware have to come off. But since there are body screws underneath holding on the standoffs, it holds everything together. So you just pop that off, you can pop one back on. Super easy, no big deal. Since it's a bushing pivot, you won't lose the adjustability of your pivot. And then the lock is a clutch lock. So basically, it is an Omega Spring bar lock. A lot of people are used to that. Benchmade Axis lock is a good one. And this one uses ball bearings and a bushing pivot. So what that means is that you can kind of crank the pivot down tight, and it won't change your blade centering, and it won't change your blade play, and it won't really change your blade action. And you'll be able to just drop it shut. Dual thumb studs to open it, and honestly, I don't know if you'll ever use those because of the clutch lock. So since it's on bearings, it really just kind of flies shut like that. You can flip it out too. So I said, it's got thumb studs, but honestly, if I had one of these, probably just going to be maybe flipping it out like that. Talking about the Omega Springs for a minute, they did a really neat thing that I've only seen on one other knife so far, and that was the Tactile Maverick, is that there's 5 different holes in here. So whenever you take this apart, you can pop your Omega Spring out, put it in any of those 5 holes to kind of make a customized detent that you like. A lot of people don't like access locks or crossbar style locks because of the way that they don't have a lot of detent. So it's just kind of pushing this bar back. So there's no detent ball, there's no kind of like bearing track, nothing like that. If you push this up to its first position, it's going to be a lot more, strong. It's going to be harder to push it back. So to make it feel a little bit better, if you want to slow roll it open. Like I said, that's not really for me. I'm definitely going to be just kind of using this for the fidget factor. It's got the same lock as the Kaiser Drop Bear, and that was kind of like the fidgety knife that came out. Everybody at Blade Show was buying them and carrying them. And man, they are definitely fidgety. If you're into that kind of thing, the Lander 2 is definitely going to be the knife for you. Moving on from there, we have a deep carry pocket clip. That's pretty standard nowadays. It used to be, if you had a deep carry pocket clip, it was kind of a big deal. Nowadays, it's kind of hard to find one that's not a deep carry pocket clip. This one's just kind of like your standard Knafs deep carry clip. Got 2 screws in there. They do fit flush, which I like, so they're not going to be catching your pocket, tearing that up. Just going to be able to slide in and out pretty easy. So let's move on to some size comparisons. All right, guys, so I have a layout here of knives designed by Ben Peterson. So this one is the Banter, and as you can see, it was kind of the first foray into making a just kind of like standard utility knife. And then the evolution to the Lander, it's just kind of that same knife, but slimmed up a little bit. And then the Lander 2, people want a bigger knife, different lock. So much larger in size and has the special clutch lock on there. You can see that the colors, Ben Blue, pretty famous. And then the black stealthed out stuff, that's pretty awesome too. So this knife is very similar in size to a Benchmade Bugout and very similar in function as well. So I've got Bugout here. So if you hold it up to the Lander 2, it is basically identical in size. It's a little bit thinner, it's a little bit lighter weight, it doesn't have full liners. But other than that, they're strikingly similar. You can drop shut the Lander 2 a little bit easier than you can the Bugout. I think that that's probably what I would say the biggest change would be. and then you have the shorter deep carry clip. So if you're used to carrying a Bugout, or you like the Bugout, or maybe you were thinking about getting a Bugout and you wanted something a little bit, cheaper on a budget with technically better blade steel, the Lander 2 is going to be the perfect knife for that. All right, guys, just some closing thoughts on the Lander 2. So obviously, it's a really nice EDC knife, and it has its place pretty much in anyone's pocket. So if you messed around with the original Lander, you kind of felt that in your hand, and you thought it was too small, Lander 2 is definitely going to be the knife for you. And then if you're the kind of guy that likes to buy a knife just based off of fidget factor, it's definitely going to be a winner there too. Another thing that I really like about the Lander 2 is that every knife comes with extra hardware. It comes with extra Omega springs, extra hardware. If you lose the extra hardware, like I would do, probably will do, they have basically a catalog, and you can order the parts. They have the parts numbers all listed on their website. They have it all in stock. You send them an email, you can purchase it. They'll send it to you if it's under warranty. It's really awesome. You don't see that a whole lot. And then also, if in that similar vein, you like to take your knives apart and clean them, if you like to customize your knives, this is definitely going to be an awesome option for that as well because of the open source scales. Or maybe if you're not as technologically stunted as I am and you know how to make your own scales, you got like a 3D printer or something, I don't even know how that stuff works. It's like black magic to me. But maybe you can print that stuff, you can make your own scales. There's going to be a bunch of scales out there, to buy. And I think that that's really cool. You don't see a lot of that. A lot of knife companies are really closed off. They won't give you their hardware. They won't send you hardware out. And they sure won't send you extra scales. So being able to buy all that stuff, that's really cool. I think that's probably one of the coolest things about buying a Knafs knife. So I really like that about it. So you guys hit the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you think about the Lander 2, how it compares to the Lander, and catch you guys next week.